So, let me get this straight. I've wasted the last 4 years of my life making dumb fanboy videos with toys. What'd I do for you guys? So, 4 years on YouTube. That's a thing. Okay, enough of the sarcasm. I've gotten so far in these last 4 years, from a nobody to having over 1,000 subscribers. I could thank you all over and 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 over, but that'd be boring. And I've already done that in other videos. So, what do I have for this mandatory anniversary video? Well, this time, let's not talk about me. Being part of a YouTube community, you tend to come across people with similar videos, and the BioTube community is no exception. Whether it's being influenced by them, enjoying their content, or even becoming friends with them, the various BioTubers that make up the community have definitely made their mark, and to celebrate 4 years of my channel, I decided to look back and choose my favorites. Now this list was very difficult to order. Heck, while writing the script, the ordering changed multiple times. It'll probably change again in the future. I'll say it now, this is a purely subjective list. This is not based on who objectively are the best. These are just the BioTubers that I enjoy the most. In fact, once the video is over, I encourage you to comment who's your favorite down below. I think it would make a good discussion. If your favorite didn't make my top 10 or even my honorable mentions, I have a few reasons why that might be. 1. I have not heard of said BioTuber. 2. I have not watched enough of their content to justify putting them on the list. Or 3. I personally just don't care for their videos. Please don't kill me. Is that it? Yeah, that's it. Let's not dawdle anymore and get right to it. If you remember my top 5 worst videos list, or if you've been with me since the way beginning, you will know that I didn't always make Bionicle videos. Oh, Bionicle and Hero Factory characters were very prominent in my videos, but the videos then and now were a different beast entirely. And that's not just the quality, although it is noticeable as well.
Hello, Bruno.
They had more of a varied cast and were done more traditionally rather than stop motion. At least as traditional as it get with a guy waving a camera in front of toys. But then, I saw him. The one who guided me. The one who led the way. The one who— oh, why am I dramatically building up the guy who's only number 10? I should be doing that for number 1. It's this guy. Toa Skyrock 44 is no longer on BioTube, but he still left his impact on me. I think I first came across him via his 2-part video, Bionicle vs. Hero Factory. Later on I saw his series, Heroes of Larnuu. Then his comedy and holiday videos. Then his mock videos. The point is, I was hooked. At this time, I'd slowly fallen out of Bionicle. It had ended and I sold most of my old sets. My old series Shade is what kept me from selling whatever sets I had left. By watching Skyrock's videos, I saw someone who enjoyed what he did by making videos about something he loved. What I loved. I wanted to be like him. And so, I did. I got inspired to make my own series based on my own characters, and here I am now. In fact, if you look at our videos, there are clearly some influences and inspirations. Yeah, that's Lucaria and Skyrock's masks being recolored Kylernuva's, but there's more. The Elemental Canes were inspired by his Elemental Demons. Some of my earlier mocks do some of his body styles, and some of my character designs have complete inspiration from his own. And, oh hey, Zocron. Oh wait, that's just a guy with his mask. Give her back! But that's just his influence. How are his actual videos? Well, they're alright. Okay, I should probably explain myself. When I first saw Skyrock's videos, I loved them. And they're still nice to look at every once in a while. It's just, That was 2012. Now in 2016, I've seen many other BioTubers, and when compared to Scarrick's videos, I don't find him nearly as impressive when compared to other BioTubers nowadays. In terms of mock, stop motion, story, etc., I personally think that there are others better than him. Stop motion was pretty darn good in his final video though. However, for what I enjoyed and just how much he influenced me back in the day, I really can't criticize him too much. He is far from bad, and he did send me on the path I am now, and thanks to his influence, I wouldn't have gotten this far. It's just sort of a shame he decided to stop making videos. I would have loved to see where he would have gotten now, especially since he never finished Heroes of Oronui. I kind of wished I'd joined BioTube before he left, just so I could say thanks to him. I feel like it would be a sin to not include him as one of my favorites, making it a perfect way to start my top 10. Thank you, Skillet. Thank you. Okay, enough of the sad story, let's move on. So let's talk about another oldie, but a goodie. This one you're probably more familiar with. So now we come to one of our forefathers, Kylernuva 135. He was one of the earliest BioTubers to come out all the way back in 2008, and easily one of the most popular. Even today, he has over 9,000 subscribers. Well darn. And no, I'm not doing the meme. Being around for such a long time, Kylernuva has quite a bit of content. Let's have a look, shall we? He has story-driven series, comedy videos, mock contests, and mock videos. So yeah, he's got something for everyone. And with over 500 videos, yes, he has that many, you're not short on content. You want epic stories? Watch The Brutal Mission and Reign of Terror. Want strange and sometimes crass humor? Watch his Absolute Randomness videos and most of his other videos. You want to see great mocks? He's got a lot of videos showing them off. Kylernuva's mocks are one of my favorite aspects about his channel. I've heard some people describe him as the king of Anaiko builds, and yeah, I'd say they're right on the money. I know not everyone likes it, but it's one of my personal favorites. Besides, his mocks are really good, taking advantage of the system. Probably his most iconic mock, other than his stealth mock Kylord of course, is Makuta Tazak. To paraphrase what Maniac1613 said in his top 10 evil Bionicles list, if you haven't heard of this guy, then you need to see a doctor. But these mugs are just full of detail and technique, and he's even got some how-tos on them. I could probably learn a thing or two about mock making from these things. Some of my personal favorite videos of his are his 2 Finding Stuff in the Dark videos, his mock videos, and of course, Kylord vs. Tazak. I did find it to be a little too long, but if it was to be a send-off video like Scarrick vs. Pain was, we would have been satisfied. He's still active, just not as much as when he used to. Still, he's a classic in many BioTubers' eyes. Just prepare for a lot of text and a lot of heavy metal music.
Let's start a riot. Riot, let's start a riot. Whoa, this is heavy.
Jeez, more older BioTubers? Well, this time let's go way back to BioTube's other forefather. You better pay this guy some respect, kids. Without Scott TGT, BioTube may have never existed. I'm not certain if he's the very first BioTuber out there, but I'd say he was one of the first to define BioTube, at least back in the day. I'm going to say right now, before we get to the positives, I do find quite a few flaws with his channel, even putting aside that nearly all of his videos are text videos. For one thing, in most of his story-driven videos, annotations pop up a lot. Since I downloaded the clips for this video, you can't see them, but if you watch them directly on YouTube, you will notice. Most of the time, they add in some interesting information, including background stories or something miscellaneous. That information is nice, but I have a few problems with it. For one, it's distracting. I've had to stop the video in order to read what the annotations say, which slows the pace down. This is especially annoying since the characters use text to speak. Also, if you want to include backstory and information, I think it would be better to mention the information in the actual story. If you have to resort to including side information, especially if it could be important in annotations, I think, at least in my own opinion, that it decreases the effectiveness of the storytelling. Include a dialogue or bleed out the information a bit more subtly, like a good storyteller would. Also, I wouldn't say stop motion is all that great. It's not bad, but when compared to other BioTubers, especially nowadays, it does show. This is especially noticeable in his battle scenes. A lot of times, there's a lot of talking, breaking the flow of the action. Personally, I'd say Kylernuva has better action scenes. Whew. I know I made a lot of complaints, which is why Scott TGG is lower on the list, but now let's get to the good. For one thing, his mocks. I wouldn't say they're as well made as Kylernuva's, but I do enjoy most of these. Many of the mocks feel like they could be actual sets, even with some of the more unorthodox building styles. Also, while Scarrick inspired me to become a BioTuber, I believe Scott TGG inspired me in other aspects. He inspired me to use painted special effects. He inspired me to use a normal video camera for certain scenes, like if a character is flying. He inspired me to make my own Bionicle randoms. It also sort of helps that Scott TGG was one of Scarrick's main inspirations, right down to both Stealth mocks using the same mask, so there's that too. What I personally believe puts him higher than Kylernuva and Scarrick is how classic his videos feel. What I mean by that is that a lot of it feels like it could fit into the actual Bionicle story. As I said, some of the mocks feel like they could be actual LEGO sets, but that's not all. Most of his videos are either mock videos or they belong to one of his series, the Hydros Chronicles, Society of Guardians, or Sands of Change. It feels like an epic quest that you are going along with, and since Scott TGG has more episodes out of a series than Scarrick or even Kylernuva, you feel like you're traveling with these characters. In fact, the story in a way travels with the actual Bionicle storyline. Scott TGG joined YouTube in 2007, while his first series, the Hydros Chronicles, did technically start in the beginning of 2008. It begins in the pit, then goes to the Callando saga, then goes to the Baron Magna storyline, and then finally, in the beginning of the 2010 storyline. Even his own mocks talk to the actual Bionicle characters like Boltar and Malum several times. Some of my favorite videos from him include the Society of Guardians series, the previously mentioned Bionicle Randoms videos, and a 12 Paintings of Christmas video, which also inspired my own version. I wouldn't say Scott TGG is the best BioTuber technically, but he is a classic and should be remembered that way. I'd love for him to come back, and hopefully this time for more than just a few months. Dagnabbit, I know you gave us a warning and another hiatus could happen, but it was a crushing disappointment all over again. So, let's take a break from the old and finally get to the new. Or newer when compared to the old. Our first stop in the town of New BioTube is Larnuu Works. Larnuu Works is what I would consider to be one of the most technically impressive BioTubers out there. His stop motion is some of the best, he has some really nice effects, and is even a remix from a Flash animator. It's actually a pretty nice resume. Speaking of stop motion, one of his videos actually got on a Channel Federator video. Well darn, nice work Larnuu. Not only that, but I'd say he has some of the most comedic series out there. He has Gakko and Rio of course, but he also has YouTube Poops, which I'm still waiting for more, and his Truth About BioTubers series, which I'm still waiting on as well. The latter especially since he said that I'd be in the next episode. I'd personally say he's one of the funniest BioTubers in the modern BioTuber landscape. When the Custom Bionicle Wiki was around, he made some of my favorite shorts on there. Hashtag rest in peace. Mock-wise, they're good, but I wouldn't say they're the most impressive. But then again, the videos are not about the mocks. It's about the humor, and a good chunk of the time he delivers. My favorite videos of his include the previously mentioned YouTube Poops and Truth About BioTubers, but also Gakko and Rio Alpha, a very meta Christmas, particularly due to appearance by my good friend A. Gerds. Yes, I have a little bias. Is it showing? Sorry, I better cover up. Larnuu is my favorite modern BioTuber, but his humor and video quality definitely shine through, making me revisit a number of his videos on a frequent basis. And I say that's a good sign of a great BioTuber. Also, anyone who can make this dumb scene a great writing joke
Cake.
deserves some props. Honestly, I'm surprised this hasn't become a meme yet. It better.
Cake.
When you think of modern BioTube, who is the first guy to come up? You're probably right. But for me, it's this guy. Let's face it, if Callando Fire wasn't your first choice, he was very likely your second. With over, my gosh, that many? It's sort of difficult to not hear of him. But that's enough about how big he is. So how are his videos? Well, since he's on my list, I must find some quality in them. Callan's videos tend to be, should I say, a bit more casual. There's no epic storyline, the conflicts are usually rather ordinary, such as paying the rent or just going out on a date, and his tone is more or less lighthearted than most videos, and honestly, it's sort of refreshing. We can have the sweeping epicness of Scott TGG or the strange comedy of Larnuu Works, but Kylernuva is one of the few BioTubers out there with a much more calmer feel. Heck, it's even shown in his background music, rather soothing if I do say so myself. That's not to say there's no action, but it tends not to be the focus, except when he's dying. My gosh, he's worse than Mario. Callan's videos seem to be split into two types. The ones with himself and his brothers, Davis and JoJo, the latter who is...
Nothing, Callan, I want a party.
Aww! Dagnabbit. And his videos with the original Toa. Nowadays, they have much more focus on the former, but are still a lot of fun. Heck, they even had their own series on the Custom Bionicle Wiki. Hashtag rest in peace. It's actually sort of interesting seeing the situations that Toa and Mata go through. Similar to Callan's other videos, they tend to center around the more casual conflicts, such as working at a play or ordering at a restaurant, but that's sort of the charm. Seeing these legendary heroes of our childhood having problems with mostly mundane tasks. Although, sometimes they do engage in some action, including last year's Bohatu Pun Saga. Also, he takes full advantage to have the two generations of Toa talking to each other.
You're treated similarly, but the wisdom of unity that you reinforce is undermined when your voice sounds like a Neanderthal's.
Well, forgive me, but I think you may be looking back through a pair of rose-colored glasses. I recall you in the first Bionicle movie sounding like...
Say, how goes the carving?
That does it. Callan for President 2016. Yeah, he'll just get assassinated. Probably by Jube. In terms of everything else, I can't say too much of fault here. He has some nice stop motion and some really nice mocks. In fact, he once did a series of videos with another BioTuber, Ben Costy, about mock making tips. While it's not on Callan's channel, it does reflect into his mocks, and it shows that he really knows his stuff. Some of my favorite videos from him include his old versus new videos, Callan and David's Locked, and Bio Shorts Not So Happy Birthdays. If I could describe Callan's entire channel in one word, it's charming, which I really can't describe a lot of the other channels on this list. And with consistently good quality, I'd say he's more than worthy of having to spawn this list. I'd say it's worth it after so many deaths. Okay, seriously, you need to get some life insurance.